The cafeteria of Westbrook Middle School buzzed with noise that blended into something harsh and restless, but none of it reached 12-year-old Harper. She sat alone at the corner table where the lights flickered just slightly overhead, her hands moving with hesitant grace as she practiced the signs her mother used to teach her every night before bed. Harper's world was quiet, beautifully quiet, but the moment she lifted her eyes, she saw the shapes of mouths twisted into smirks, hands mimicking her movements in cruel, exaggerated motions. The boys at the next table laughed loudly, fully aware she wouldn't hear them, but she could see them. She always saw everything. And today, her small shoulders sank in a way that suggested she was trying to fold into herself, wishing she could disappear into the silence completely. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in standing with people who feel alone, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps spread stories that remind the world to be gentler. Harper's sign language notebook sat open beside her lunch tray, pages filled with neat letters, soft drawings, and little sticky notes from her mother, who had passed away 2 years earlier. Since then, she had lived with her aunt, who loved her deeply but worked long hours at a nursing home. Harper had learned to navigate life with silence as her companion, grief as her shadow, and bravery as her only survival tool. Across the room, 37-year-old single father Mark Rowan stepped out of the classroom doorway after delivering his daughter's forgotten lunch bag. He wasn't supposed to linger, he was already running late for his construction shift, but the moment he spotted Harper sitting alone, shrinking beneath the weight of mockery she couldn't stop but could definitely feel, something in him froze. His daughter, Chloe, had pointed her out once, saying Harper never talked, never raised her hand, never made a sound. Chloe didn't know she was deaf, she just thought Harper was shy. But Mark saw something else. Loneliness, raw and unprotected. Pain that didn't make a sound but echoed loudly to anyone who cared enough to listen. Without overthinking, he walked across the cafeteria, ignoring the confused stares from the kids. He slid into the empty seat across from Harper. She looked up, startled, her hands pausing mid-motion. Mark smiled, a gentle curve of understanding, and tapped the table softly so she could feel the vibration. Then, slowly and carefully, hoping he remembered correctly, he signed, "Hello. May I sit?" Her eyes widened. For a moment, she didn't move. Then her lips curved into the smallest, trembling smile, and she nodded. Word traveled fast through the cafeteria. The boys who had been mocking her went silent, suddenly uneasy. A few students whispered, trying to understand why a grown man knew sign language. Harper relaxed only slightly, still unsure, her hands fidgeting under the table. Mark didn't pressure her. He simply sat there, speaking with his hands in gentle, steady movements, signs he hadn't used in years, signs he had learned for his younger sister who had passed away long before Harper was even born. He shared simple things, that his name was Mark, that his daughter was in 7th grade, that he worked with his hands just like she communicated with hers. For the first time all day, Harper wasn't being stared at. She was being seen. That simple act, sitting with her, became the quiet beginning of a change no one expected. The next day, Mark returned, not as a rescuer but as someone who understood. He brought a small lunchbox filled with homemade sandwiches and fruit, enough for Harper too. He signed good morning as if it were the most natural thing in the world. And over the next week, he kept coming back during his short break, catching up on work later in the evening just so she wouldn't feel alone. Chloe soon began joining them, learning a few signs from her dad so she could talk to Harper. Other kids watched, hesitant at first, but curiosity eventually softened their fear of misunderstanding. A girl named Jenna asked Harper to teach her how to sign friend. A boy who once mocked her scribbled an apology on a sticky note and handed it to her before running off in embarrassment. Harper still struggled. Some days were heavy, like when she found her mother's old sweater and cried herself to sleep. Some days she felt the world moved too fast, too loud, too confusing. But she no longer walked alone through the hallways. Mark would often remind her, with a gentle smile and slow, patient signs, that courage didn't have to be loud to be powerful. Her teachers noticed the difference. Her aunt noticed the difference. And one Friday afternoon, as Mark prepared to leave after lunch, Harper tugged softly at his sleeve. With shy but steady hands, she signed something that made his throat tighten. "Thank you for hearing me even without